Well, that was a good start. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Speak Up Monday, here live from you know where. I'm not going to say the name, but you know already. So as you know, we're going through a crazy time on the planet at the moment. And I probably won't go too far into that today, but one thing is for sure is that the events which are happening are affecting and impacting all of us on one level or another. And so what tonight is about, and this whole week, in fact, this whole entire couple of months, has been about mental health. It's been about how do we gain a sense of certainty and a sense of control to a certain extent in a time that is out of control. And there's no certainty, right? Uncertainty. So then tonight, if you're thinking about that, or you might find yourself in that position, then it's a great night, because we have Néstor here, and I tried to pronounce his surname earlier on, butchered it. So you can tell us, Néstor.
Giujarro.
Giujarro.
Yeah.
Oh, I wrote the R. Giujarro.
Yeah,
Néstor.
Most of people say Giujarro. Right? It sounds very bad in Spanish, but okay. Giujarro. Try.
Giujarro.
Thank you. Well done.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Cognitive, right, and transpersonal therapist. Yeah. So in a minute, if you have no idea what that is, we're going to go into that too. So my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, and as you know, I'm an advisor, right? So I help large-scale inbound tourism initiatives and businesses, right, find their audience and find their potential, right, pretty much by strategic partnerships. So without further ado, I reckon it's time to get in. So Néstor, one question that came up is, obviously some people here may not know or understand, when we talk about, transpersonal, when we talk about cognitive therapist, what does it mean?
Okay, actually these two therapists are, well, first I want to say thank you, Robert. Thank you for sharing your space here and your time with your audience. It's a pleasure being here. Transpersonal and cognitive. Well, how could I define it? Cognitive is when I use cognitive therapy with my clients when we need to check all things related to the thoughts, the beliefs, and the impact that our thoughts have in our emotions and our actions, right? In very general words, okay? But it's about learning how to think properly in a healthy and functional way. And transpersonal actually is something really, really different. Transpersonal is like the fourth branch, the last one of psychology, that we could say is like the most spiritual side of psychology. But basically it treats all things related to the ego and all the traumas, and it's about how to see ourselves in a different way, how to learn not to identify all the time ourselves with our thoughts and feelings, like learning that we are not what we think, even what we feel, and this is temporary, right? So it's different from cognitive, but we could say that each therapy has different functions. So for me, the most important thing first is to learn how to think properly and how to stop thinking, of course, because I think that we overthink, right? And the transpersonal is something more, it's more spiritual, but it depends also on the issue that I have to treat.
Got it. Love it. So, okay, so in a time like this thing about how we think, right? And it's interesting. Again, this isn't really about, I got caught up on social media the other day, and I was in a group, and they were talking about these demonstrations and so on and so on and so on. And, so I was the person coming in just saying, look, at the end of the day, we all have this, way of thinking, this way of acting, these things that we believe, right, to be true, without labeling them right or wrong or whatever. And we can call it a cognitive bias, meaning I grew up in this way, so I think in a certain way without realizing it. It's subconscious. It's part of who I choose to be, part of my identity. And out of this chat, these different identities were playing out. Kind of violently, some of them, you're this, you're that, you're da-da-da, name calling, all the rest of that. And then I came in and said, look, we have different ways to think. And, if we don't begin to give each other the space and actually to listen, whether you believe it or not, whether it's part of your belief system or not, it's part of theirs. So if you really want to have a conversation, calling each other names and not even allowing each other to speak, because, as human beings, it's not like we're rational creatures, right? So you said, we're cognitive, so how we think, and then transpersonal, that spiritual aspect. So it's like what I was seeing in this conversation were a bunch of people coming from different viewpoints and not entertaining the other viewpoint at all. And then being on like a monologue, just like, no, I believe this, and trying to give facts, but no one's listening, right?
Yeah, well, actually, for me, there is a base. Like, if we're having a conversation, for me, it's not any more interesting what you think about something. And for example, and I do a lot this with couples, is like, I prefer you to tell me what you feel than what you think. If we are speaking about our feelings, we will never argue, because I'm the only one responsible of them, right? So you tell me how you feel, I'll tell you how, and we can also speak about how we feel about a topic, not what we think, right? Because when we start speaking all the time about what we think, it's like we are exposing our beliefs, and it seems like we are trying to sometimes to manipulate the thoughts of the other. So for me, and when I'm with my friends, we are not really interested about speaking about opinions, like, especially unless I ask you, hey, Robert, tell me your opinion about this issue. I don't know what to do with this or with that. But in general, if we have to speak about the current situation on planet Earth, on any single issue, I prefer you to tell me how you feel. And it's easier for us to connect with each other. And we would never argue when we speak just about how we feel. That's it.
Love it. This thing about feelings, so for some people it's very difficult, to explain how they feel. I find this with men, right? Men more so than women. Sorry, guys, but it's just the truth. Right? So we have this challenge of like, I can tell you what I think till the cows come home, right? But when it comes to how I feel, it's like, oh, it's a bit hard. I don't know how to search for it. Yet, if I ask a woman, like, how you feeling? It's like, bang, it's right there, right? So then in the work that you do, like, how do you get, or what do you find with guys, and how do you not treat them, because then they sound like patients, but how do you look at that situation, and how do you remedy that situation?
What you're speaking about, I understand you, like, sometimes we don't like to be vulnerable. For me, vulnerability is the capacity I have to feel, and then to express those feelings, right? Maybe because nobody taught us how to feel and how to express, right? And for me, vulnerability is like a sign of strength. Like, people who are really brave is people who really express what they feel. The things that sometimes we need others' approval, and we like to have a very nice, I don't know, like, I'm strong, I have to fight. So when the very first thing that my therapist, one of them, told me, like, over 10 years ago, was like, hey, Néstor, you need to surrender. And I was like, no way, I'm gonna fight. No, man, you need to surrender. It took me years to understand it. And now my purpose is to live all the time surrendered. So why we don't like sometimes to express our feelings? Because we want to win. We think we have to win, right? But being vulnerable, that's a gift. and I think that it's very healthy if we learn how to do that. It's just about being vulnerable. And something very interesting is that sometimes people, when you ask to someone, "Hey, how do you feel? How are you?" "I'm fine. I feel great." But then we cannot say, "I feel bad." And you know what? Emotions, feelings are not selective. We are not able to feel good, to feel really good, to feel fulfilled, if we are not willing to feel bad. Like trying to feel good all the time is not natural. We are all the time trying to escape from feeling bad. Now I don't want to think about this. Now, okay, oof, too much noise, later. We're getting gratifications. We are consuming relationships, whatever, chocolate, drinks, Netflix, whatever. But what happens when we turn off everything and we just pay attention on what we feel? If we develop the ability to express what we feel, man, that feels so good. Because there's nothing to lose, But yeah, in general, the society, we haven't been taught. Nobody taught us, to do that. I think it's 10 years ago, I wasn't able to express my feelings. Not even anger. I remember when I was very reactive, which some people confuse reacting with being angry, which is completely different, right? But yes, I think there is an emergency on planet Earth about how to express in a functional and healthy way and with waiting nothing from the other side.
So then how do you do it? So people may be watching saying, I get that, Néstor. I get that, being vulnerable is great. I get the difference between cognitive, transpersonal therapy. Okay, I get that. All right. But look, how do I do it? Right? I'm a guy, I've got stuff going on, or a woman, but maybe talking about the guys at the moment. I'm a guy, I was like you 10 years ago, right? I was angry, but didn't know how to express it. I was happy, but knew how to express happiness. That's easy. I'm happy, everybody, right? But anger, I don't want to show that to people because it's ugly, in my opinion. It's ugly to me, and I don't want to be that vulnerable. So then how do you open me up? How do you get inside me?
Okay, the very first step is learn to identify what you feel. This is the first thing, how to identify, because sometimes it is not that easy, right? And then if you need to express what you feel to someone else, you need to find the proper place, the proper time, and of course, we should do that with people we can trust. If not, there's no sense. And actually, if we want to express something, I always ask myself, what for? What is the purpose of what I want to express? Is it necessary? What do I need? It's for my ego just to say how good I am, or no, but yeah, proper time, proper place, people you can trust. But the first thing is to identify. And actually something that I like to do is I like to wait 24 hours before I express myself. So this way I know if I'm just reacting, or maybe I just had a bad day, or there are many external things that also change the way we feel, right?
I think what would be really helpful then, because you mentioned that 10 years ago, you weren't able to be like you are now. Mm-hmm. So then maybe take us through your journey, right? So maybe give us an insight, who were you being a little bit prior, a little bit before 10 years ago, and then how did you make your way to becoming who you are now? And what did you have to overcome? And how did you overcome it? Because I think that then gives us a really good insight.
Okay, I'm 40 years old now. When I was 30 or 31, it was, I thought I was very happy. I was living in the Canary Islands. I had a beautiful girlfriend. And I was always surfing, traveling, and I made money very easy, very fast, so with no effort almost, right? And I don't know, I had an intuition. And one day I remember I was on the beach in the sunset and just myself. And suddenly I thought man, something is wrong inside me. but I didn't know what it was. But I had this intuition very strong, and I thought like, hey, Nestor, I think you're suffering too much. On the surface, you have a good life. You have money, beautiful girl, you travel, blah, blah, blah. But something is failing, something is broken. And I didn't know what it was. So a few days later, I went to a club, and I found a very good friend that we stopped speaking for 3 years because we were arguing. Okay, 3 years, non-speaking. And the first thing we did when we saw each other was we gave a big hug. And I remember that I asked him, hey, Javi, how are you? And he said, I'm not good, man. And he said, how are you, Nestor? And I said, like, I don't feel, I'm no good, like, I'm bad. Like, I feel bad. And suddenly, for first time, we were speaking about feelings and what we were thinking all the time. Hey, when you wake up in the morning, does it happen to you? Yeah. And then really? So he told me, like, man, it has a name. And I was like, tell me. And he told me, codependency. Codependency. And I was like, I had no idea about this. And he said, like, I know a therapist.
What's codependency, in case you guys are not following? So codependency.
That's a good question. Okay, when we are very young, we are all emotional dependent with our parents. It's normal. We depend on our parents or educators. But some people, when we grow up, we don't develop the emotional resources to live a life that is not led by our emotions. And we need, the codependency is like a condition. I'm not gonna say like a minor disorder, but it could be, which is composed by patterns of codependency, like looking for external approval, insane loyalty. You say yes when you want to say no, the opposite. You try to control others, you manipulate. You are always searching for things just to feel fulfilled, because codependents, we don't have like self-esteem and self-love, right? So I didn't know that. So on the surface, my life was pretty good. I had almost everything that people may think they need. But I was suffering too much, and I was also in denial. I didn't want to connect to my feelings. And I started noticing that I was always trying to avoid the bad feelings, the noise. You know what, Robert? I always had a small voice, and I didn't want to pay attention. And that was exhausting, man. I was tired. Like, my emotional life was mediocre. So I went to this therapist, and after 20 minutes, she got it. And she said, okay, you feel like this, you're thinking this, and it's this. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And she told me, like, man, you're codependent, very codependent. And I was very scared, and I said, can I heal this? And I remember she said, yes, but we need to work. And I was like, for how long? And she was like,
as long as it takes.
Yeah, and you know what? After a few years, I came back to her. We had therapy for long, and one day I told her, I'm gonna go back to Bali. I told her, and she was like, okay, escaping again. And I was like, no way, this girl is just gonna kill me, like all the time like this. So yeah, now I laugh a lot, but I needed therapy, and I went to kind of 12-step group for people who have this condition. This condition is not easy to understand. It's very tricky. It's very spread in the society. And some people told me sometimes, like, man, but this is normal. These things you are looking for in other people, this is just common. And I thought, like, yeah, it's common, but I don't want to feel this anymore. Like, and you know what? the first thing I thought, Robert, was like, I'm gonna do whatever I need to get recovered from this emotional dependency all the time from others. Like sometimes just small critiques, just details made me feel so bad. And one of the most interesting things for me was that I thought I was a kind of person, and that I wasn't. I thought I was a very nice guy, and in some way I was, but I had issues and patterns like were completely deviate. I don't know if I deviate.
Yeah, deviating from who you really were.
Yeah, and it was very hard for me to find that I was arrogant, and the concept of love was completely broken. Like I didn't know how to love. I thought I was a good lover, for example, and yeah, sometimes bad.
How do you love? So if I ask you now, you brought it up, right? And people might be here thinking about the same question. I have an idea about love, but I'd love to hear your insight when I ask that question of, like
the first relationship.
What did you mean by it? Yeah.
My first relationship. Our first relationship is the one we have with ourselves, right? And it sounds very familiar. We listen to it every day, but what kind of relationship I have with myself, how I treat myself. It's Friday evening, I had a bad week, I'm gonna get drunk like a beast. Do I love myself? Or I don't want to spend time with someone who is hurting me, who is harshing me, but I stay there. Do I love myself? Or, yeah, we do that with habits, food, sex, whatever. And yeah, I found that when I tried to love someone, it was because I wanted something from the other person, but I didn't know, okay? So if I love you a lot and I give you, and I'm very caregiving, if you didn't give it back to me, you were a bad guy. This is no love, man. So yeah, very bad habits, but by that time, I never had big problems with substances or alcohol, but also I think sometimes I use them, like, not like a disaster, but what I found also that, for example, Saturday night, I feel bad. Okay, I'm gonna have just a cup of wine. It's not bad, socially, right? But the purpose of having this wine, is it because we are here just having fun and speaking and celebrating life? Or is it because I had a bad day and I just want to relax? And that was the first reason why I gave up everything. Like stop drinking, smoking weed, everything. Like I said, no more. Like there's no, I don't want to consume external things to avoid my feelings. Because this way I wouldn't be able to improve. It's the only way. I have a bad week. Okay, have a seat. Change your life. Take a different map. Ask for help. Learn to know how to do that. But if it's Friday night and you go for gratifications just because you feel bad, how would you change your life? All the time. And I was a guy that I was always looking for anesthesia. Can I say? I was a big wave rider. Bigger wave, bigger. One time I almost died. What I was looking behind the big wave? I'm not saying that big wave, but that the riders are looking to avoid their feelings. I'm not saying that. I said it was my case. It was just me. Because actually, alcohol is not bad. Weed is not, I wouldn't say it's bad. Big waves are not bad. It's what we do with them, right? And the way I use things in the past was not functional.
So I get the sense of where you are, right? Where you were, right? So you're in this codependence, which I think is so common. I mean, I'll put my hand up for it, no doubt, right? This insulating myself from feeling by doing things externally which temporarily take me away from having to think and deal with that thing that I'm hiding from, right? Get it? So then and you spoke about love, right? And love was about self-love, is what I got, which is, you also taking care of yourself, the people that you spend time with, what you're doing with that time, how you're using and abusing things, if that's the case, right? And so on. And asking yourself those empowering questions in those moments. If I feel bad, if I feel shit, then it's like, well, why is it that I feel shit? What is happening for me to feel like that? So then if someone is in that same state of mind, and this is probably going into that 12-step that you mentioned before, like what was the most unexpected insight that you received? Now, why that's there, then what comes up, all right, with the insight that you received then was, if I was going through that now, and I'm a client of yours, what would you say to do, right? Sit there with emotion. Don't reach out. Acknowledge you want that drink, but don't take it. Acknowledge that you want to go to Bali, but don't go, right? Acknowledge that you want to go out and take that drug, but don't take it, right? So I'm there. So what do? I'm stuck with this feeling of not feeling good. I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to get away from it. What should I do now? And this is the context of maybe an insight that came up for you personally when you go through 12 steps.
Okay, it depends on what is making you feel bad. If you just broke up with your girlfriend and you feel bad, this is normal, and you need time, and you need to let yourself feel in this, right? But if you're feeling bad because you're having irrational thoughts, compulsive, automatic thoughts, this is not about feeling this. This is about learning how to think. It's about changing your beliefs. So it's something different. Sometimes it's just because of our beliefs, and sometimes it's because, of course, in life we have external things in life there are accidents, and there is real drama. The problem, for example, with codependency is that most of the issues are not real. Isn't real. And also you mentioned self-love, and we need to distinguish between self-love and self-esteem, right? Because self-love never fluctuates. You have it or you don't. You were given when you were a child or you didn't, right? But self-esteem is something that depends on external approval. For example, when people come to us to say really good things like, hey, today you look handsome. Wow, really good wave. Hey, good job. Wow, you did very good with this client. This is our self-esteem when it goes up or goes down. But self-love is something that no matter what happens to you, you know that you're worthy of love. No matter what. So if you break with your girlfriend, but you have self-love, you're going to have a bad time. And this is natural, and you need to let yourself feel in this till it fades, because it will fade. But it will be for a short period. You will understand it. You will respect your feelings. You will not try to catch a different girl like this just to feel good, just because you need to, for yourself. So self-love, super important. Self-esteem, I don't really pay attention on it. It's important, it helps a lot, of course, but I'm more focused on having self-love.
Got it. So then going back to that situation of I'm here, I have a situation. So it's not anything that is like a girlfriend I've broken up with. So I want to get into how I want people to take something away with them that they can do, right? So then where you are is how you're thinking. So then how do you adjust how people are thinking? So this is me feeling bad on a Friday night because I've had a crap week. I haven't broken up with my girlfriend. We're good. I'm having a bad time, right? What can I do to help me find my center again, where I don't feel the need to reach out for external things to satiate that missing part.
You need a compromise with yourself. I feel bad, I'm going to stay here for 2 days or whatever I need. I mean, if you feel really bad, you can go for a walk, you can do functional things, but not trying to consume external distractions. There is a big difference between going for a walk, going swimming, following your routines, and looking for distractions. To this, when you go for a walk and you feel sad, you're still sad on the walk, but sad. But when you go to a club and you're sad, this is where you're disconnecting from your feelings. So the first thing is to identify what you feel. Then, of course, let yourself feel in the way you are. Maybe you're not feeling sad. Maybe you are feeling so good and you succeed. Because some people also, when they feel very good, they sabotage. Right? When we achieve what we want and we are doing good, we also cut this moment because we are not used to feel good, which is another issue of the codependency.
Sabotage is codependency.
Right?
It's codependency.
Yeah. So at the end, it's the same. Like I'm feared to feel bad, but I'm scared about feeling good. Yeah. The center. I remember one time I was speaking to a friend and I said, the first time I went to therapy, because now she's my friend, almost a decade later, and the first thing I told her was like, I'm scared of fear. I'm scared of being scary. I didn't know how, and she said, no, man, you are not scared of fear. No? You just fear love. And I was like, no, I don't, no. I'm just, I have anxiety because I don't want to feel bad. No, it's because you don't want to love. It took me some time, but finally I understood. What's love? It's a composition of feelings. Sometimes we think that love is feeling good and all things related to good things, good characteristics, but sad, anger, all these things are included in love. The problem is that we try all the time to separate and live in a dual, you can say, in a dual world. No, this is bad. No, but the same again. You cannot choose feeling good all the time. People who think they are happy all the time, unless they are God, or that's impossible. I was speaking to a friend a few days ago, and I tried to explain him, like, if you learn how to feel bad, you will be very happy. It was like, no way, man, doesn't make sense. Yeah, just learn how to feel bad. You can celebrate when you feel bad that you're connected to your feelings, yeah? So it's a process, but with my clients and what you're speaking about, they come with very different things. So the treatment is not the same for everybody. Because some people need time and space for feelings, but some it's just about learning how to think, or maybe they live very, very attached to their feelings, which is also bad. They don't understand that what they think and what they feel is not that important. It's just temporary. It's temporal, It will pass.
One of the things I love about what you're saying, right, is this, and I say it a lot recently, it feels like, that we are not our emotions. We have emotions, but we're not our emotions, We are not our feelings. It's Richard Harrington. There you go. Freedom Day Bali, baby. Richard reminded me of this last. I am not my emotions, but I have them. I'm not my feelings, but I have them. Then who am I? If I'm not my emotions, but I have them. If I'm not my feelings, but I have them, then who am I? Pure spirit. But which is capacious, which is unlimited, which is whatever you want to be at this time, right? So what comes up for you when I say that? You're about to say something.
No, just that what we are is much bigger than this, right? Now it's getting spread, like more and more people are practicing meditation, right? Yeah. And after a few weeks, when you start. Do you practice meditation? You do, right? I think.
Of course, brother.
Okay, so you know where we are. It's like
Damn straight.
It's medicine, man. You know, it's medicine for me. So this is one of the best moments in my day when I just stop thinking and stop feeling, or if I'm thinking, it's like, okay, but I'm not this, I'm not that, and this is what we really are. I like to see babies when they are eating, or when they're just looking at a tree. This is pure presence, man. Yeah. And then, for example, something happened, they cry, 2 minutes later, present again. Yeah. What we do, the adults, obsessive, compulsive, oh, he said that, oh my God, this is bad, oh, he's cheating me, no, maybe I should.
That means he doesn't like me, that means he doesn't like me.
This is
a sign.
No, so, like, yeah, we take life so serious in this way, and the problem, in my case, of course, is that part of my mind was sick. For me, it was like a disease. And I always had an issue, like, all the time I saw the bad characteristics I had, I saw in others. My negative aspects, I saw them in you all the time. Yeah. So mentally, I was not I wouldn't say very healthy in this way. Yeah. And that was uncomfortable. And it took me a lot of time to get recovered and to learn how to, it's very simple, learn how to think and let yourself feel. But it's a process, of course. It's not that simple, right? At least in my case.
Yeah. And one of the things which I also pick up about you, this thing we did chat about very briefly, was this concept of time, right? And we're going to get on to something else just popped in. This concept of time, right? So you were saying that 10 years ago, right? And so it took you 10 years, right? And it's this idea that, like, because again, I have this awareness and understanding that we can change in a moment. But to get to that moment might take 10 years, right? Yeah. It might take a while. So if I ask you, and maybe you can bring us back to your own story, right? Which is always the most powerful one. How long does it take?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. The first time I went to therapy, it was because I was dating also a girl. We were starting, and I told to my therapist, I'm here because I want to feel good, to have a good relationship with this girl, and that's it. I'm fine. And she was like, okay, let's see. And I asked, like, how long should I come here? And I remember that she told me, like, let's try 3 months. And I said, okay, 3 months, right. And she told me, like, and you should stop drinking, okay, for these 3. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And the first time, this is so funny, I always remember the first time I went to a 12 steps group, right? The first time, one girl was celebrating that she was coming for 4 years. And when she said, no, I've been coming for 4, I was like, she must be very bad. Like, she's sick. Oh my God, she must be crazy, I'm gonna come 2 weeks. I will read this book, and I feel super. 4 years. Oh my, she's crazy. 7 years later, I was there saying, okay, I'm here because of this. And actually, I'm not going anymore. Like, I stopped going, but it took me many, many, many years. But this is my case. I don't want to scare people who want to get recovered from these things. But the funny thing is that I went to therapy because I wanted to solve a few details. Once I solved them, I left. 4 months later, I came back. And I said, no, just the minimum. I'm here just because I have this problem and I want to learn. Man, finally I was like, I take the rope and I was like pulling all the time. And at the end, and this is, I studied architect before and then I was a teacher. And Robert, there was a point that when I stopped suffering, when I started feeling really good, that was the moment when I changed my life and I discovered the service. And my first thought was like, this thing that I know how to get recovered, I have to bring to others. And this is when the vocation came to me. Not what I wanted, but first was what I needed, and then how I was skilled to to do that with others. Sometimes people ask me about vocation, right? And this is a topic we were discussing before on the phone. We could distinguish between what we want and what we need. Yeah. And in this new world, after this pandemic, I think this is a very important point. This is a world out of control. And we are trying to control it all the time. All the time. And the only thing we can manage is ourselves. But once we know how to manage ourselves properly, this is the moment where we start discovering what is the best I can do for others in every single field. We were speaking about drinks before, right? Maybe I have a client and he said okay, I want to have a drink, but I shouldn't. I must not, okay? Okay, you are broken, you want to do something, you have a value, and you have a feeling. What is gonna win? Actually, we need both aligned. This is the process. Once we are not broken anymore, once we are aligned and we are integral people, that our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions, when this all is the same, this is when we discover what is the best I can do for you. Because it will not be about what I want. It's like what you need. And this is the same in the relationships, with partners, parents, jobs, etc. It's not anymore what I need, selfish, what I want. I need a pleasure. I need this. No. It's like I'm so fine, I'm so good that the only thing I have to do is to give what I know. And if I don't know how to give something, I leave, I quit. This is the honest way. This is honesty. Feeling vulnerable. When I feel vulnerable, I'm able to say, I'm very good doing this, but I don't know how to do that. This is humbling, you know? So in this world that all these things that are happening, I always think because some people ask me hey, how can I have a new life? And new sounds very good, like if we are going to buy a new car. And it's not like this, new, what's new? New is authentic, new is genuine, new is fresh, but new is also uncomfortable. New is about to learn and to adjust all the time. This is new. And then we have to pay attention to what's the meaning of life. What's the meaning of life for you, for me? So then we put together new and life. And then people say, no, the world is changing. No. Your perception is the only thing that needs to change. It's our perception. No matter what, 100%. In the beginning, I remember I was no, but this circumstance is so bad. And then I learned, I want to lead myself, I want to lead my circumstances, or do I want to be a victim? No, but I have this bad luck. This is your point of view.
You know, this perception, right, and great segue, perception. So right now we're going through, for some, it's a really tough time, right? Because, we're in a place where it's uncomfortable. It's exterior circumstances that seem beyond our control. And as you mentioned, we're trying to control them, which isn't really working so well. And so we have this anxiety within society. Maybe it's a trauma now. Anxiety to trauma. So for someone watching now, maybe they've been through this period of time, they're in a lockdown situation wherever they are in the world, and they're at that point now where it's I thought I was getting better, I thought I was away from this, now things are getting worse. And I don't know how long I can stand it. I don't know how long I can take it anymore, because I can only be so positive for such a period of time, and I'm reaching the end of my rope. So to those people there, what would you say?
It's about creating a map with what I have, what is the maximum I can do, how to optimize and maximize my resources and my tools. things are changing. That's true. Many people speak about the comfort zone. For me, the comfort zone is not my house, it's not my car, it's not my partner, it's not what I have, it's not this is not the comfort zone. The comfort zone is me using all the time the same thoughts and feeling the same. That's it. It's easy to change a car, to change a house. No, but I have to change my work, I have to find a job. Do it. Yes or yes, there's nothing else you can do. You can try to be more creative, proactive. Yeah, you can use many, many things, but this is what is it. The only thing you can choose is your perception of the situation. You know what I feel like this situation has a very dark side, which is that people are dying. But on the other hand, I think this is accelerating many processes on planet Earth. Like people are changing, people are creating new things. It's a question of survival, you know, it's about to survive. But this is the moment when we are powerless with external things. It's like, with what I have, what can I do? Now you lose a leg, or you lose your fingers. Robert, you come to me, hey Néstor, I have just one hand. How can I change it? No, you can't. It's about learning how to use just one hand and how to learn something from this situation. And you know what? People, no, but this is not fair. No, I'm sorry, life is not fair. Drama happens, for real. So it's about how to adjust ourselves all the time. It's adjusting.
So what I'm getting, and again, Richard Harrington, if you're watching this, it's you, brother. So, you know, it's this, I would call it a concept, but it's not really a concept. But let's call it that, the concept of an empowering question. So what happens then is that, you know, when some of us are feeling bad, right? Why do I feel so bad? Why does it keep happening to me? It's almost like you have this beautiful mind, this supercomputer, and imagine it's like a genie, like in a magic lamp, like Aladdin or something, you know, and you're rubbing it, and his genie comes out and says, okay, your wish is my command. Why do I feel so shit? Why do I feel so bad? And the genie's like, well, you know, your wish is my command. Well, I'll tell you why. Boom. You know, because you haven't done this, because you haven't done that. You've broken your word here. You've let someone down here. You let yourself down here. You're not practicing self-love or self-esteem. And and you're like, oh, and you're just like spiraling down. Whereas same situation, same feel again. You know, it's like the genie comes out. Your wish is my command. It's like, how can I feel better? You know, why is it that in the depths of my despair, there's something golden that always comes out that leads me to a different incarnation, a different platform, a different, right? What is it about it? So it's almost like the question that you ask yourself in those moments is so incredibly powerful and important, because that dictates a lot of where you go. The choice, the question that you ask yourself, where is it taking you? And on that, because your brain, the magic genie wants to find it and will, you know, go day and night, subconscious, conscious mind. When you're asleep, when you're awake, it's looking for the answer. So what comes up for you when I say that?
There's no answer. The problem is about feeling is not feeling bad, is that I'm trying to escape from this feeling. That's it. And the problem is that because nobody told us how to do it. When we were kids, most of us, that was my case, you see kids crying, and you see many parents, what they do is just go to them and they give a candy. Don't cry, you look ugly when you cry, take a candy, go play. But if when we were 3, 4, 5 years old, we were tagged, like say, okay, what do you feel? Identify. Why? Okay. I'm here, I support you. Just let it go. Take your time. You wanna cry, cry. But do you know the messages we give to kids all the time on television and many media, like they don't, I mean, euphoria. People sell euphoria on TV. You think like something good. there's nothing related between euphoria and serenity. When we are euphoric, I always say we are in the shit. This is not neutral. It's not natural. It's pure pleasure. It's not joy. It's pleasure, which is different.
What's the difference? What's the difference? Pleasure and the other one? Euphoria.
Joy never ends. You can enjoy your life and you can enjoy your wife, everything you do all the time. But can you imagine being euphoric 24 hours? Like, oh my, good morning. Oh my. No, that's a disease. That's crazy. And it's only a problem of education. In many cultures, kids are taught like this, like, okay, you feel bad. Buddhism, you go to India, to Nepal, many places, but we in the Western world usually we don't develop these skills because we have a promise. They give us the promise of feeling good all the time, and when we have to feel bad, it's a drama. It's oh my God, I'm so bad. I'm a victim. Why? No, stop that. You will not find answers. When you're in this loop, this is when the disease is happening and the ego is speaking all the time. That's why meditation is so important. And this is a process, of course. If 10 years ago you took me and you say, hey, Néstor, you feel bad? Okay, have a seat and wait. No way. It's a process, but and it has a treatment, of course. It's step by step. This is not something that you can improve. We cannot improve in 2 weeks.
So just going out to people here. So if you have a question, right, like we said, if you have a question, feel free to ask it. So we can send a microphone around. And if you do, just raise your hand. Remember, no question's a silly question, right? There's no coincidences here, right? So if you've got something in your mind, ask it. Okay, so Bella over there, maybe if you just put the microphone up so people can see that there's a microphone there, and if they put up their hand, it will magically come to them. Right, so now if we're just tuning in, we're talking to Néstor, and we discussed many things today already. Yeah. This cognitive, versus transpersonal, which I think is amazing. This this understanding of when we're in situations, it's about tapping into how we feel. Not following the chain of events in our cerebral capacity, taking us down the garden path and somewhere else, which I think is really powerful. And then this understanding that if we connect on our feelings, then there's no friction because we're just expressing how we feel, which I think is really powerful. And then we're also talking about, the places where we've fallen down, places where we get into, we're back in it again. It's like, oh, Jesus, I'm back in there. I can't believe I'm doing this again. Self-love and about self-esteem, which I think is, again, very powerful, right? Anxiety.
Anxiety is one of the worst things ever. I had anxiety for 5-6 years nonstop. But I never took drugs or medicines. But trust me, I remember I couldn't even drive. And there are many tricks, many ways there are many definitions also about this disorder. And in my case, I found something that works immediately. If you pay attention, when you feel anxiety, when you have anxiety, you are not able to hold an emotion. You are not happy. You are not angry. You are not sad. Nothing. When you have anxiety, you are not experiencing feelings. Just have a seat and think what I'm avoiding to feel. What this situation fears me. Why? Okay, I'm scared. I feel fear. Because of this, you identify and you let yourself feel that disappeared. Takes time, but it's the only way I found.
All right, so just to repeat that.
When you have anxiety,
if you're feeling anxiety,
you cannot hold emotions.
Can't hold emotions.
You cannot have anxiety and be sad at the same time, or feel anger, or feel like You cannot.
This is really important, right?
It's like a system to.
Yeah.
It's like a defender. It's like alarm.
Defense mechanism.
It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Love it. So then, again, let's go through it because it's really valuable what you just said. It's all very valuable, but this one in particular. If you're feeling anxiety, first thing you do is take a seat. The second thing you do is
identify what are you avoiding to feel.
Great. Third step.
Just feel it.
Feel it.
Take your time and try to understand.
Got it.
But nowadays, there are not tigers in the streets anymore. If I suddenly, maybe I have an irrational thought. Maybe my girlfriend is cheating me now with my neighbor. Bang! Anxiety. Trigger. Because of a thought. It's not real. It's not even real. Okay, you have a seat. I have a seat. I'm thinking this. So I'm scared because of this. I don't want to feel betrayed, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I feel bad. I'm nervous. I don't want to lose. I feel abandonment, you say? Many things. But it's about having a seat first. Alcohol also works. But then it's worse, and
collateral damage.
The things that the gratifications work. When we consume things, they really work, but they only work in the short term. And when we start doing all this compulsively, that destroys ourselves, our connection with what we feel and what we want to do, and we just became robots all the time.
So then, thank you. So then, the final steps, we've got steps 1, 2, 3. So 4, I identify I have anxiety. I take a seat, and I feel through it. So what am I fearing? I'm fearing this, this, and this.
And also try to distinguish if it's for something real or it's not real.
Right.
This is one of the most important things. Like, okay, this is just something irrational, or it is just because I receive a real news, a piece of news, and okay. I don't feel good because of this. But it's very important to identify if it's because a real reason or an illusion. This is the most important thing.
And you just ask yourself, is this real?
Yeah.
Or is this an illusion?
Yeah,
and sit with it.
And if we think it is real, we have also to ask, like, okay, do I have proofs? No, not intuition. No, intuition is do I have proof? Not science, real proof. And these thoughts I'm having now, where will they bring me? Is it necessary to still think in this way? Does it work? It's healthy. It helps me to feel recovered. I mean, there's a process. There's like a questionnaire.
And then, and through going through that process, which is the bit which I love actually, is this.
Yeah.
This release at the end. I've been through it. I've understood what it is. I've asked myself those necessary questions, and I realize it's not real, so I can leave it. It drops by itself. Or if it is real, why? Give me proof. Why is it real? Not intuition, because right then I'm not in my intuition. I'm in fear. So it's my intuition. No, it's fear. Right.
Yeah.
So okay, boom, disconnect from that. Give me facts.
Yeah.
And then I realize that through the facts, it's not real. Then it can it can drop. Right.
And many times people ask, like, okay, Néstor, I'm doing this, but it's happening all the time, and I have to check my thoughts all the time, non-stop. And it's like this. Till you learn how to think, and till you learn how to distinguish your compulsive, irrational thoughts, learned dysfunctional beliefs, or real things. So it's a process, like, where we start feeling better more times with more intensity. More times, but it doesn't happen in 3 weeks, 3 months, it's about to learn. It depends on the person, but yeah.
Yeah, so just to get the microphone over there, while we get the microphone there, that is so powerful. What you just, again, all very powerful, but that one in particular, especially now where people are going through this anxiety, this feeling of I am in trouble for whichever reason, and there are many right now that people are attaching to. As we started this conversation, right, about the people in that particular post where they were going with it, was like, and you could see that both sides have got fear about something, but they're not really acknowledging that they have the fear, and they're saying, well, I'm right. I'm in righteousness, I'm right, you're wrong. And then I'm going to call you this, and it just keeps on going and going and going and going and going. But they're both in fear. Love it. Question.
What if there is proof that there is something to be frightened about, if the anxiety actually has root in something truthfully, really frightening, or...
Okay, real things happen, and
Right.
and disasters and really accidents, and in this moment we feel anxiety also because we are in fear, and this is normal for a period of time, and it doesn't depend on compulsive thoughts.
Okay.
Maybe you cannot stop thinking because you are trying to solve something that is external. It depends on, if you want to share the case, it would be great, like the certain case, because it depends on the case. But feeling anxiety for a short period of time is fine, but you're talking about something that is real, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's what it is, and it's just to let yourself feel whatever you need to feel. If there is something you have to do, if there is something you could do from your side, do it. If not, it's about acceptance. That's it.
Okay.
I don't know what situation are you speaking about, but because there is a variety of cases, right?
Like, yes, like someone who has diagnosed with a terminally ill disease.
Yeah, that's a real fact.
Yes, okay.
Someone has died.
Yes.
I feel bad.
Or is going to, potentially.
And,
Yeah.
and you need to let yourself to feel this way. It takes time, and just respect your process.
Yes, okay.
It's about
So it's about differentiating between real fears and fears that are a product of our mind going wild without actually. So there's two different types of anxiety,
of
is what
course.
you're saying. And it's
many more.
identifying when it's a real fear that needs to be addressed in one way versus just the fear running wild because we're not in control.
Fear
Yeah.
is, anxiety, it's normal in a functional way, and it provides us with a lot of information. It's very valuable.
Yes.
People don't like anxiety, me neither. But if we pay attention, it always gives us a lot of information about
Yes.
ourselves, right?
Yes.
But of course, real things happen. As we said before, life is not always fair.
Yes.
It's about the perception of what is happening outside. Yes. The only things we can manage is ourselves. We are powerless when we're speaking about others and
Yes.
things like this. But this is something really, really different from people who are having automatic thoughts,
Yes, I
compulsive
understand.
behaviors,
Yeah. Okay.
making up stories in their head.
Yes. Yes.
For me, this is it's a bad disease,
Yes.
but we are used to it. Like, sometimes I feel like people say, "Oh, Néstor, this is normal." No, we make it normal. This is not common. We get used to feel really bad.
And how would you differentiate? Sorry, I couldn't say that. Between depression and anxiety, what are the differences between those?
No, depression is related to low energy, some mind states. The depression could come after obsession for things that have, but in the depression, there is a mind process. It's a mental process. Anxiety is more related to feelings you are avoiding to feel.
So depression is not feelings that you're avoiding?
You have feelings because you are having compulsive thoughts
Okay.
first,
Okay.
or your energy levels decreases in all the ways, and there are also patterns for depression. It's something different, but usually someone die, and it depends on our beliefs, the way we manage this. We don't need to get depressed. Like in some
Yes,
societies,
right,
people
yes.
get very happy.
Yes.
So this is more related to your beliefs. It's for
Yes.
you if you're thinking that. It depends on your beliefs, But some people, when they have people very close to them or family, and they die, they make a party.
Yes.
So it's You know what I feel? If we don't let in our lives small things to die through the years, if we get attached to people, thoughts, habits, then we don't learn how to die and how to let other die. So for me, the life is a process just about learning how to die all the time. Small moments, friendships, relationships, jobs, beliefs, habits. If I learn how to say goodbye to the small things, then I know how to say goodbye to the big things.
Yes.
Like dying. For me, dying is the most important moment in the life of a person. It's the most important one. So it's a process. That's why if we try to escape all the time to the small death, we cannot face the big and last one. This is the way I see that, right? I said died many times. It's death. Sorry, I'm Spanish. Sometimes I confuse words.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about to say goodbye when we have to. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, some people when they are dying, they really get obsessed with and they pay even more attention on things that are not important in this moment. Like I know people that were dying and they said, "Who's gonna take care of this person if I die?" You know what I mean?
Yes.
Not very rational. I'm dying. It's my time.
Right.
You know, there's a beautiful guy met on Clubhouse, and named Dr. Norman Fried, and he's a trauma counselor as well as a psychologist, and so on and so on and so on. So check Instagram, Dr. Norman Fried, which is it's like Fried, right? So Fried. And every day for the last, Lord knows how long, but it's been a while, he's got like a video, and he is the guy who helps families go through the death of a loved one. And he's like, oh, I'm getting a bit teary. Like, this guy is so beautiful, man. Like, such a powerful person who lives vulnerability every day. And he's just put this all into a book as well, which the name escapes me. Sorry. The name escapes me. But Dr. Norman Fried, check him out on Instagram. And every day, anything from like a minute and a half through to 3 minutes, he basically is very humble. You know, he's like, you know, this isn't from me. This is from my clients, from my patients. I learn through them. And I'm the channel through which their wisdom comes. And again, it's anywhere between a minute and 2 or 3 minutes, but it's, you know, I don't listen to it every day. But that thing about death being the opening or the beginning of something and getting comfortable with it, that guy, you know, and he's been on TV, because any big trauma, like, this is the guy, he's like the expert that they go to. So he's actually a huge name. And I met him on Clubhouse in a lady called Tasia Valenza, has a room called Give Great Voice, my soul sister. But amazing guy on this. And he's just, even when he speaks, like someone's voice who just transmutes this energy of acceptance, of love, of understanding, of, you know, not attaching to fear throughout this process, but let it be, right? And in a really strange way, but not so strange, like, enjoy the process. And that's what he's able to bring out with his voice. Every day he does it. Phenomenal guy. You're about to say something.
No, that everything is learned. I was so lucky, because when I was very young, well, when I was 13 years old and 17, I had a really bad, I could say I almost died. I spent a lot of time in a hospital because I was bleeding inside my organs. I mean, it was internal bleeding. And I spent up to a year in hospital because nobody knew what I had. I had like 25 different tests, and they didn't find anything. And I remember that I saw people dying, on the bed close to me when I was very young. That happens the first time I was 13, and I remember that a couple were crying because their babies died. And for me, it became something natural. Like, I saw people dying. People I was speaking to them before for weeks. Then they die. They just move. And some people said that, wow, Nestor, that's dramatic. That's so bad for you. And for me, I feel blessed. Like, I didn't react to that. And they said, no, they died. It's okay. Bye-bye. One day, I will. It's fine. So everything it's learned. We learn everything. And when I say everything, it's 100%. And this is the perception we were speaking about. What's my perception if I break with my girlfriend? She's cheating me. I have 3 kids. Oh my God. And the house. What's my perception? Should I blame her? Or should I pay attention on my responsibility, what I have done, what I could have done better? I'm not blaming myself. I'm just checking, like doing a revision of my side. I don't mind the other side. If she was cheating me, she needed. She has a lack of something that she didn't know how to express. She was not able to tell me something. Was it my problem? No, it hurts. Yeah, sometimes, of course, but it's about sometimes we overreact to things. We get over dramatic, like. So I think there is an emergency on planet Earth, like paying attention. What's important? What is urgent? That's it. And what is the service we can do for others, right?
Jess, any more, darling? Don't be shy. There's more. It's all good because it's supposed to come up, right?
Yes. No, just going back to depression, using the same technique that you're using for anxiety, could you walk us through how you would handle depression in the similar steps?
It depends on for how long this person has had a depression. What was the reason? Is it the real reason?
Yeah.
Is it because he was obsessive with something? It's a problems of beliefs. Something real happened. So it's not the same for everybody.
Okay.
Maybe this person doesn't know how to express feelings. Is it this or not? Or is something real? Like his whole family or her whole family has died in an airplane accident? Or just he feels betrayed by someone and he has been obsessed with an idea, trying to find answers that he doesn't need to find. So it's very depression. There are hormones issues related to depression, with the food, with substances, alcohol, stress. I mean, there are many, many, many reasons. Maybe this person had a very strong and long period of stress. Maybe not. But maybe he was alcoholic. Or maybe not. Maybe he's just obsessive. He's an addict. He's addict to think all the time. He's very neurotic. So in this case, it's about how to take this neura, but this is with other exercises you can do with breath working, meditation, sports, many, many things. Maybe this person is you say neurotic in English, right? Yeah. Is super neurotic. So the very first thing you have to do is put the neura down, and then you can treat the person. But the first thing is like decrease the levels of stress in this person, of neura, because he is overrun in Spanish. He's like, it's like burnt inside. So sometimes when we want to speak to someone, it's impossible to connect because the first thing they need to do is slow down. It takes time. There are many different methods to do that. And then you can treat the person, but you need to access. You need an open window.
Yes.
In these cases, right?
Yes.
Especially if the person is very compulsive and this person has automatic thoughts all the time, irrational, no coherence, not aligned, completely broken. But we have to check the reason. That's very important.
Okay. Thank you.
Great question, darling. Yeah. Anybody else has a question? You're good at the moment?
And one thing about trying to understand everything all the time, we don't need to understand everything. When we are looking for answers, the only way to do that is with our own selves. But we don't need to understand, and the most important thing is that we don't need to understand everybody. I don't need to understand you.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Hi, I've loved the talk you had this night, but I've got one question. So you were mentioning earlier, like the Facebook or the social media, really opposing views people have, and the personal life choices you make, and that people want to know your medical history and everything, and they judge you so hard on it. But how can you, in this day and age, manage these people, these situations when people come to attack you personally? Do you know how to handle it and how to stand in your ground and how to,
The first thing is, why should I expose myself to others? What's the reason why I'm posting things on social media? Mm-hmm. It has consequences always. But if I really want to post things because I want to share with the people I love, which is a very interesting question. I don't think one person have 10,000 friends or 15,000 friends, right? For example. Then if I really feel bad because of bad comments, or because I don't get likes as many as I want, this is because I'm looking for external approval. So I think that my value depends on you, on what you say. This is a lack of self-love, right? Of course, if many people are attacking you, I should reconsider if I really want to expose myself there. But basically, people who post things on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they have like 1 million followers, they have two options. They don't read the comments, or they don't give a shit about what people say, right?
Wow, yeah.
But if this is affecting me, it's because I have an issue with I need your approval, right?
Yeah.
I need to control what you think about me, and the perception I have of how much love I deserve is based on your actions and your thoughts, and so in some way it could be. I could say it could be functional in a small dose. But if I feel really bad, something happens. It's not natural. We are here now on YouTube, on Instagram with Robert, and some people will say, wow, very nice talk, I like the interview. Some people will say, this is a shit, I read this in the book, blah, blah, blah. So, sorry for saying shit. This is crap. Okay, this is crap, I know more, and it's okay. And of course, some people know more. It's okay. The important thing is why we are here. Yeah. And we are here in order to give. There's nothing we want to receive.
And there are people waiting for your story, right?
So the thing is, if you post something, what is the purpose of posting? Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah.
That don't go away. I know there's a secondary backup to that one, but so something interesting happened with us before. So we were here, right? And I said, look, Néstor, you can put this on your phone, right? Instagram Live your phone. Rob, don't have Instagram Live on this particular device. Fine. It's interesting because the conversation we had just before, was this one of social media. And Néstor, I'll give you a chance to answer in a second, brother. What I got from you was a sense of, I don't really want to be on social media. I prefer going face to face with people, and I completely get that. And so I shared this story with Néstor very quickly that back in Sydney, I had millions of people that I see every year running clubs and very successful doing that. And I had this hang up about social media, and I just didn't want to be part of it. And I had one conversation with a friend of mine, Grant Lewis, if he's watching, thank you, Grant. And it was basically saying, look, all the things that you do offline. You can also do online. And then this conversation opened up something within me, and it's what he said last, which is like, look, Rob, the work that you're doing, what social media can do is it can help you impact more people. And I was like, damn you, man. Damn you! Now I have to do it. Because at the end of the day, I have to do it. So then I jumped on it and I did it, right? So I'm going to get your response in a second. But your question was fantastic. I love the way you speak as well. This is Dutch accent. Very cool, very clear. But what I love about the answer was bringing it back, because most of the time when people ask that question about trolling, essentially what you're asking, it's usually in this thing of like them, right? Oh, but them, they did it to me, or they don't believe me, or they're bad people, or that's a horrible troll. But it's been a long time since I've heard that response of saying, well, what is it that I'm invested in the first place that then allows this self-esteem issue to come up, self-love issue and self-esteem to actually come up? And I'm like, oh, shit. It's like, oh, bugger. Because I get caught sometimes, right? I'm doing a post, I'm like, how many likes did that one get? It's true, right? Oh man, that one only got that amount. Oh shit, maybe I should delete it. Don't want that on my wall, right? Yeah. But it's great because you reminded me of like, well, Rob, why are you doing it for in the first place? You're like, damn, that's right. So really, it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter, it's about me posting from a place from my heart.
Yeah, what's the intention behind it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, I'm going to give him, we're going to come at your secondary question, but before that, so Néstor, explain to us why, if there is the case, like, what's your view about social media? Because we had that conversation before. Would love to get your input.
Okay, I have to say I'm not a big fan of social media, but I have to say that it's very helpful if we want to spread our word. And I learned a lot because of social media. I follow other therapists, and thanks to that, I learned a lot. So I have to say that I have to get updated in this field. I accept it, and it's helpful. And I think that it's not the social media, it's what we do with it, what's the purpose. And yeah, if we are speaking about the bad effects, like I know, people who, I'm not judging this, but for example, I don't know how useful it is to have 1,000 selfies per day. Yeah. Maybe it's useful and I haven't understood it yet. If you work with it, if you're gonna make money, but so I think this is a tricky question. It could be very, very dysfunctional, but it has also a healthy side. It could help to many things. I don't have personal Instagram account, only one as a therapist, because I put content all the time related to recovery. I don't have Facebook, and I can't wait the moment to close my WhatsApp. But I know that maybe it doesn't help, but the way I work mostly is word of mouth. And if Robert is working with me and he improves and success, blah, 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 he will bring me more people, and it's organic, it's genuine. If someone contact me, I will not deviate to other people. If I have no time, I say, sorry, I have no time. I don't have a team with me behind. I'm not saying this is bad, this is functional, and this is a business in this case. But the way I like to do things is organic, trying to be authentic, and using my story. Because the only thing I have to give you is my story and my experience. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah.
I think this is why it's genuine.
Yeah.
And this is the meaning of service for me.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you said something about you post on Instagram and someone post bad comments.
Mm-hmm.
Just you can only recognize what you are. If I've never been stupid, I wouldn't be able to recognize stupidness.
Projection.
So, yeah, it's about projecting all the time.
Yeah.
And this is like what I said before, that in the past I used to project my negative things on others. It's done. But it happened. And most of the times, people who do that, they are not conscious about this. When they criticize themselves, people, they are criticizing themselves. And it's true. And it has layers. If you go down deep to this quote, you will find it's completely true. And this is the perception. One time someone told me, and I like it, or I read it, it was like, what's the sin? What's a sin? The meaning of sin. And I read like, a sin is a perception of something without love. This is a sin. You know what I mean?
So sin, S-I-N.
S-I-N.
Sin.
Sin, thank you.
Not seen. I was thinking scene. No, but you're good. I was thinking scene. I'm like,
Oh my God.
and I was trying to make the connection, and I was nodding, but I was like, Rob, you don't understand, man. Be honest, you don't understand. Ask him what he means.
Thank you.
Sin.
Thank you so much,
So
bro.
no, but you've done remarkably well. Like honestly, I can't speak Spanish. I speak Italian, okay, but you've done remarkably, mate. You've done remarkably well. Your second, third language. You know, you speak languages, but get back. Yeah. So the sin. Maybe explain that again. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's sometimes it doesn't happen very often to me, but it happens to me. Sometimes I'm looking at someone and it's like, fuck, this fuck, why he's doing this shit? Why he tell me, it's me. It's me, the one who is sick, projecting everything. So this is the sin. You say sin?
Yeah, the sin.
It's a lack of love in the perception we have.
That goes really deep. Thank you for this beautiful explanation. Yeah.
So now, darling, is there a backup question or a secondary?
No. You gave me enough homework to think about. So thank you.
You see, I mean, we are human beings. In the past, in the past, a few years ago, one of my goals, I remember I always thought like, okay, Néstor, you have to finish your ego. You have to put your ego apart. No, and then I found it's not this way. It's just about having a mature ego. It's gonna be with me the rest of my life. So it's not about putting apart, no, it's about integrating my ego. I have an ego as a human being, and sometimes I have dysfunctional thoughts and irrational ideas. Yeah, so it's about improving. Something very important I always say to people, this is not about perfection. It's about to improve, and it will never end. Right? No perfection. It's about adjust. Every day, when I go to sleep in the night, the only thing I think is few things why I feel grateful, and something that made me feel uncomfortable. And then I think about how to adjust. Okay, how can I adjust myself? How could I adjust this situation? And every day, adjust.
That's great.
And you know when I feel really, really, really bad is when I forget that I need to feel bad, and when I'm fighting. When I spend 2 or 3 days fighting against an idea or a feeling, is when I say, okay, Néstor, stop. Ooh, stop. There's something you don't want to check. There is the noise, the flying here, making noise. Okay, tell me, what are you thinking? Why you feel bad? So I think it's very important to check every day our thoughts. Every day, the last thing of the day, check so we don't keep and hold things. Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't know you, but I remember to kept bad feelings and memories for years, not for weeks. I remember to break up with a girl and having this with me years. For me, this is a disease. This is a real disease. When I'm keeping with me things that are not here anymore, and I haven't been able to. Things need time, of course. 1 year, a few things sometimes. There are situations, there are different situations, but I spent 10 years with a thought, with a fly, making noise. And for me, this is very sad. This is very sad. Been struggling for a decade. Been angry for a really long time with someone because I thought I had the right. This is the most stupid thing I have ever done in my life. This is energy. This is time. This is lack of love.
Holding grudges against someone, not forgiving someone.
This is the most crazy.
It's poison for your own body and soul, right?
It's pure poison.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to do it. I had to learn it. And I was so lucky that I found someone to help me, because also this is not that easy. Sometimes we visit a couple of therapists or psychologists, and it doesn't depend on them. It's also the connection you need to develop with this person. When this person speaks, if she or he is able to read you properly. So I visited a few, and finally the one I found that my friend recommended me, in this moment I feel blessed. Sometimes, I mean, she was tough, but she was tough. Yeah, it was not easy, right? But yeah, she was not very kind in the beginning.
You know, I don't want to miss this moment, right? So what we just spoke about was holding grudges, and how for you, you know, one took you years. So if people are watching now, and there was like 2 more questions in my head, how do you overcome that? Holding a grudge, or how did you, that's better, how did you overcome it? Because I'm sure that's valuable for people here to know.
To overcome the bad moments, you mean? What does it mean?
So you mentioned before that you had someone, they did something to you that you didn't really like. Mm-hmm. And then you, like the ex-girlfriend said, for years I thought about this. So that's like holding a grudge is when you're unhappy about what happened, and perhaps you blame someone else secretly. You're like, and you hold it in your heart. So how do you process that?
The first thing I have to take into account that I'm powerless. I'm powerless about what you say or what you think, and it doesn't belong to me. There's no relation between what you think and myself. There's nothing in between. And the first step is I have to accept that I'm powerless, and accept it. But to accept it doesn't mean that I like. I accept it, and I don't like. It's fine. It's okay. I feel bad. Yeah, it's okay. It will fade. It will disappear, the bad feeling. But if I'm able to remember that I'm powerless and I accept it, but many people think that acceptance is about feeling good. No, I accept it. It's gone. No, I accept it, and it's so uncomfortable. But I need to accept it and navigate my feelings and get used to that. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I think one last thing I want to add to that. We live in a society where it's a very normalized thing that you always have to feel good, that you always have to be happy, that you always have to, you know, like share the one highlight after the other, go from the one top of the roller coaster to the other. And people don't share their, referring back to social media, but they're behind the scenes. But people, I met a lot of people who got the feeling, including myself, I'm getting out of that, but get the feeling that I always have to be happy, always have to be on top of my game, and that bad feelings don't belong to life. But that's super unrealistic. And do you think that is the reason why more people are depressed? Like, because they feel the need, you know, to feel happy? And
yeah, they may feel bad because they have learned that they have to be jumping all the time on the table, celebrating every single moment. Yeah, of course, this is a belief. If I believe that I have to be happy all the time, I'm gonna feel so bad, right? And worse, if I'm trying to show how good I feel. It's a belief. It's about changing this belief. And most of the society try it. And it's understandable, of course. It's completely and I mean, if you check the Instagram of very famous people that I like and I follow, they seem to be happy all the time, and strong, and brave, and rich. Dangerous. Dangerous. Because it affects to all of us. That's one of the reasons I don't like too much social media, you know, because they show only one face of the situation, right? And it's not very real, but I respect it, of course.
Now, there's two things that come up. One is like, what is it saying about you, right? But we won't go there. So the one is, so how can people contact you, right? Because I know that it's organic, as you mentioned, right? So if someone's watching this now and saying, you know what, I've listened to Néstor, I get him, right? And I love him, right? I get what he's trying to say, not trying to say what he's said and who he is. And I really appreciate that. So how do I get in touch with him?
Through my website or my Instagram, my professional account. My website is my name and my surname, NéstorGuijarro.com, easy. And the Instagram account, I just made up a name. I don't know how it sounds in English, but I like it. It's Once in a Blue Therapy.
That's cool.
And I like it.
That's cool, isn't it?
Once in a Blue Therapy.
Once in a Blue Therapy.
Yeah.
That's the one. Forget the other one. Once in a Blue Therapy on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Once in a Blue Therapy.
But I think it's very interesting, more interesting to check the website because you can read my story.
Yeah.
It's NéstorGuijarro.com. It's easy and.
Giujarro. Woohoo! I got it.
Well said.
And look, I would be doing a disservice to a dear friend. So, Sister Laika, thank you for recommending this beautiful human because, we're going through a bit of a crazy time here in Bali. And we're booked about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time in general. And I think it was last week, one guy who I kind of knew was going to have a few challenges with it. And I kind of let it go for a little bit. And then I put him on the spot. And he didn't respond to me. And you know who you are, brother. I'm coming for you. I just knew that it wasn't going to happen. So I was like, okay. I wonder who's going to drop in because the week prior, I did myself, right? Because the same thing happened. So I thought, next week, it'll go back to normal. No, it didn't. And it was like I said, hey, Rob, got this great guy. I think you're going to love him, right? And his name is Néstor and the surname. And I was like, sure. Sure.
Fast,
Why not? Could I trust Laika?
Yeah.
She's been, so she understands how it rolls. And I'm so glad that you reached out. And I'm so glad that we did this because, right now, social media or no social media, the world, I believe, needs to hear your message and needs to know about, because this, we started off, was about, we're in a very unique time. And there are people who are not listening to one another for different reasons, for their own reasons. And it's this whole thing about control, non-control, control in an uncontrollable world, or whatever you want to call it. And certainty, this lack of certainty in self is having mental health repercussions that are possibly going to far outweigh our generation. So this sort of message is really powerful and important for people to take on board, to hear the sentiment and the resonance, and also to gain some sense of methodology or tools that they can start to use to get them to a place that's more enlightened within themselves. And that's why I'm so happy that you did it. And that's why, and you, my man, you're like a legend, man. I'm like, Néstor, without even talking, right? I was like, Néstor, here are the details. Boom. And so I need this, and this. And he was like, there it is. Like, cool. And then he goes, what's it about? Don't worry about it. This. Boom. What are we talking about? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I asked him, what are we going to talk about?
What's the topic? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no topic. We will speak. And I was, okay.
And it just kept on coming. I thought, this guy is cool. I hadn't even spoken a word to him, but I know he's cool. Look at him. Look what he's doing. And then we finally spoke like a day or a few minutes before we were supposed to. I love it. And this is how it works, right? This is about resonance and frequency and trust in your fellow man or fellow woman, right? Trust. And I'm so glad that we did. So in about a minute and a half's time, so what we do is that we give the guest an opportunity to finish the show. So in other words, if there's something, a thought, or something that maybe you want to say again, or maybe it's something brand new that you want to leave people with in about a minute and a half, take some time to think about it now. And then I'll do this bit I'm about to do, and then we'll come back to you. You say it however long it is, or short it is, and then after that we'll close the show, right? So
Okay.
you got a minute and 15 seconds. So you've been watching Speak Up Monday here in Bali, Indonesia. The location, you know where. I don't need to say, but you know where it is. So thank you, Itchy, Bella, and Guzman. Most appreciated as usual. And as you know, we have 3 streams a week. So tonight has been 1. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Bali time, we have always have a stream on Clubhouse. So tomorrow is Cynthia Stott, who is a beautiful human, has this incredible laugh that it just enrolls you every time. You're like, you can't help but laugh. She's like a global visibility influencer in like 147 countries. I didn't even know the planet had 147 countries, but she's known in all of them, over 50K followers, and we're going to talk about, she's a speaker, we're going to talk about the power of your voice and how to speak and how to overcome these fears that you think you may have on the way. And what I love about it is that, she comes from this place of saying, like, there are people out there waiting for you. There are people out there waiting for you to express your voice. Don't disappoint them and don't leave them waiting. So everyone has this voice and has this purpose to share a message. And that's what she's about. So she'll be amazing. Then on Wednesday will be Paulina Boyd, which is a replay. And she's actually a woman's self-empowerment coach, former Vogue model, like beautiful woman, but just very down to earth and grounded about self-love and self-esteem for women, especially those dealing with weight challenges and thought challenges. Like, she's an amazing resource. So Paulina Boyd, and she'll be on Wednesday as a repeat. So just follow Speak Up is one word. So Speak Up, one word, Monday, the second word. And that's, the best one is probably Facebook group, Speak Up Monday, Facebook group, but also on Instagram and probably Facebook, as I mentioned. What else is there? YouTube. So Robert Ian Bonnick and Speak Up Monday, you get to see all of them. Okay, that's about it almost from me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming. Remember, every Monday, share this message, because right now is a really important, powerful moment in history for us to support one another and to create those, not to create, but sometimes to create, share those tools that can help us get back to ourselves, like this innate wisdom that we all have access to, because we're not our emotions, but we have them. We're not our feelings, but we have them. We're not our thoughts, but we have them. So then what are we? Pure spirit. Unlimited, right? That's who we are. So this is what this is about. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to pass it over to this beautiful man, Néstor Guijarro.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't expect that to close this, but now you said something, like you invited me to say something, and the first word that came to my mind was the first thing I had to learn in my life when I started getting recovered, which was the meaning of responsibility. And this is an invitation to everybody to learn what's the meaning of being responsible. Like, not socially effective, not just being. And for me, responsibility is the capacity I have to provide myself with what I need, not what I want. I'm responsible when I'm providing myself with, in every single field of every day, daily, with what I need, if I'm able to identify what's the best for me. And for me, this is the only way to find the personal truth, which is something I've been working for years. Like, find my own genuine personal truth, which is not related to yours, to hers, just mine. And being able to love myself as much as I don't suffer with external things, and I don't need to consume others to feel good, right? So for me, responsibility and personal truth is about to learn a lot. And Robert, thank you so much for sharing this beautiful space and your time, for your time, your attention. I feel very grateful, and I feel honored. And thank you to your audience. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I say something with a different accent. I'm Spanish. I'm not
It sounds
I'm
great.
clearly Spanish.
Every girl is like,
you see?
handsome guy with a Spanish accent. What could go wrong?
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Oh, man.